I knew something was wrong the moment I saw the first car turn onto my gravel road. Then another one appeared behind it. And another. Within seconds, 6 cars were driving toward the quiet little cottage I had just bought that very morning. I stood there on the porch, confused, watching strangers step out with coolers, suitcases, folding chairs, and grocery bags, like they were arriving for a weekend vacation. Except this wasn't a vacation house. It was my house. And I hadn't invited a single one of them. Then my phone buzzed. A message from my daughter-in-law popped up on the screen. "We're almost there, hope you're ready, 20 of us are coming." That was the moment I realized something important. Buying a peaceful cottage was easy. Protecting the peace inside it was going to be much harder. Welcome to my YouTube channel Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Addison, and I am 55 years old. At 55, a man believes he has finally earned something simple, a little peace. Not riches, not applause, just quiet. A place where the mornings belong to birds instead of phone calls, where the evenings smell like pine trees and warm tea, a place where no one asks anything of you. That is exactly what I thought I had bought the day I signed the papers for a small cottage at the edge of a lake. I had imagined silence. But silence rarely survives family. The cottage sat 2 hours outside the city, tucked behind tall cedar trees with a narrow gravel road leading to it. The place wasn't large, just 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a stone fireplace, and a porch overlooking the water. But to me, it felt like a palace. For 30 years I had worked non-stop. Construction jobs, long hours, overtime whenever it was offered. My hands carried the marks of every winter and every summer spent under open skis. I raised my son Daniel, mostly on my own after his mother passed away when he was 12. Those years weren't easy. I cooked burnt dinners while trying to learn recipes from the back of soup cans. I attended school meetings in dusty work boots. I worked double shifts to make sure Daniel could go on school trips and wear decent clothes. Every dollar mattered. Every sacrifice had a reason. And now, finally, Daniel was grown, married, and living his own life in the city with his wife, Lindsay. I thought my hardest years were behind me. So when I bought the cottage, it wasn't to escape my family. It was simply to breathe. The day I arrived with the keys, the sky was bright blue and the lake looked like glass. I walked through every room slowly. The wooden floors creaked softly under my boots. Dust floated through the sunlight coming from the windows. I opened the back door and stepped onto the porch. The lake stretched out quietly before me. I sat on the porch step and just listened. Wind through trees. Water touching the shore. Birds calling from somewhere deep in the woods. For the first time in years, my mind felt still. Then my phone rang. It was Lindsay. I smiled when I answered. "Hey, Lindsay." Her voice came through bright and excited. "Addison, Daniel told me you bought a cottage." I laughed. News travels fast. "Oh, it looks amazing from the pictures he showed me." "Well, you two are welcome to visit sometime," I said warmly. There was a pause. Then she said something that made my stomach tighten. "Oh, we will. Actually, we'll be there in about 2 hours." I blinked. 2 hours? Yeah, we're bringing everyone. Everyone, I repeated slowly. Yeah, my parents, my sisters, their husbands, the kids, a few friends too. About 20 people total. My brain tried to catch up. 20 people. In a 2-bedroom cottage. Then she laughed like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Oh, and don't worry, we'll bring food." Before I could respond, she added cheerfully, "See you soon," and hung up. I stood there on the porch staring at the lake. The quiet I had been enjoying just minutes earlier suddenly felt fragile. 2 hours. 20 people. I walked back inside the cottage and looked around again. 2 bedrooms. 1 small living room. 4 chairs. A couch. And a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people to stand in. I rubbed my forehead. I had spent decades building stability for my family, helping them when they needed it, fixing problems, solving emergencies. But this cottage was supposed to be mine. For the first time in my life, I had bought something purely for myself. And now 20 people were on their way to treat it like a weekend resort. I sighed. Maybe it would only be for the day. Maybe they just wanted to see it. I tried to convince myself it wasn't a big deal. But deep down, I already knew something else. This wasn't a visit. This was an assumption. Exactly 2 hours later, the silence of the woods shattered. Engines, car doors, voices, laughter, children shouting. I stepped outside just as 6 cars rolled into the gravel driveway. Lindsay jumped out of the first one with a huge smile. Addison. Behind her, people poured out of vehicles like a festival had arrived. Coolers, suitcases, folding chairs, blankets, bags of groceries. My eyebrows slowly lifted. Suitcases. Lindsay hugged me quickly. We are so excited. I forced a polite smile. Daniel stepped forward looking slightly nervous. Hey, Dad. Hey, son. Then Lindsay clapped her hands loudly. All right, everyone, this is Addison's new cottage. Her father walked past me carrying a grill. Nice place, he said casually. One of her sisters dragged a suitcase toward the door. Which room is ours? She asked. I raised my hand. Hold on a second. Everyone paused. I took a slow breath. Didn't anyone plan how 20 people are supposed to sleep in a 2-bedroom cottage? They all looked confused. Lindsay blinked. Well, we thought we'd stay the weekend. I stared at her. The weekend? Yes, like a family getaway. She gestured around. There's so much space outside. That was true. But outside didn't have beds. Or bathrooms. Or privacy. And something about the way everyone had already started unpacking made it clear no one had asked permission. They had simply decided. I looked at Daniel. He avoided my eyes. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. For decades, I had been the man who said yes. Yes to overtime. Yes to helping. Yes to sacrifices. Yes to everyone else's comfort before my own. But I was 55 years old now. And standing there on my porch, watching strangers carry luggage into the quiet home I had just bought, I realized something important. Peace doesn't survive where boundaries don't exist. I cleared my throat. Everyone listened for a moment. They stopped moving. I kept my voice calm. I'm glad you're all excited about the cottage, and you're welcome to enjoy the afternoon here. Relief spread across several faces. Then I continued. But this is not a hotel. Silence fell. And it's not a vacation house for 20 people. Lindsay looked stunned. But Addison, I gently raised my hand. This place is small. I bought it because I wanted quiet. I gestured toward the lake. I spent 30 years working to reach a point where I could sit on that porch and hear nothing but the wind. Her father slowly lowered the grill. I softened my tone. You're welcome to stay a few hours. We can cook, sit by the water, enjoy the day. Then I finished firmly. But tonight, everyone goes home. It's no anger. No shouting. Just truth. For a moment, no one spoke. Then something unexpected happened. Daniel stepped forward. He looked around at the crowd. Then at me. And he nodded. Dad's right. Lindsay turned toward him. But he gently took her hand. Lindsay, we never asked him. She hesitated. The excitement on her face slowly faded into realization. Oh, one of her sisters laughed awkwardly. Well, I guess we got a little carried away. Her father scratched his head. Yeah, probably should have checked first. Within minutes, the mood shifted. Coolers stayed. Suitcases went back into cars. And instead of a weekend invasion, it became a simple afternoon by the lake. Kids skipped stones. Adults grilled burgers. People sat on the porch talking. And surprisingly, it was actually nice. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low over the water, the cars slowly began leaving. One by one, they waved goodbye. Finally, only Daniel and Lindsay remained. They walked over to me quietly. Lindsay looked embarrassed. "Addison, I'm really sorry." I smiled gently. "It's all right. I just thought family means sharing everything." I nodded. "It does." Then I placed a hand on the porch railing. "But sharing works best when people ask first." Daniel chuckled softly. "Fair point." They hugged me goodbye. And soon their car disappeared down the gravel road. The silence returned. The lake was calm again. I sat on the porch as the sky turned orange. And I felt something deeper than peace. I felt respect. Because sometimes the hardest thing in life isn't sacrifice. It's learning when not to sacrifice anymore. Moral of the story: love and generosity are beautiful qualities, but even the kindest heart deserves its own space. Setting boundaries doesn't push family away, it teaches them how to respect the peace you worked your whole life to earn.